Imagine coming back to your hometown after years away, only to find it dying. Fields cracked, harvests withering, people broken, and then a herd of black cattle arrives. Cattle that aren't cattle at all. I didn't come back to the town of Hollow Creek to find peace. I came back to hide. A year ago, on a hunting trip, I pulled the trigger at the wrong moment. The bullet wasn't meant for the man I found. He lived, but a part of me didn't. I sold my rifle, locked away my instincts, and became a shadow of myself, a man afraid of his own breath. When my father got sick and needed someone to care for him, I saw an excuse. An excuse to disappear into the backwoods of the Midwest, where the corn grows thin and the land itself seems forgotten. But Hollow Creek was dying. Not fast. Not loud. Quietly, like an old man fading in his sleep. That summer, the rain never came. The earth cracked. Cornfields dried to dust. And the people looked just like the land. Brittle, tired, hopeless. Then he showed up. Elias Harper, the town's mayor. Big hard man, the kind I remembered from when I was a kid. He called everyone out to the square one afternoon, and he made an announcement. He'd made a deal. He'd bought us new livestock. Special cattle, Black Angus, bred tough, he said. They'll survive the drought. They'll save this town. The next morning, they arrived. I watched from my father's window as the herd was driven through town, and my blood went cold. These were no cattle. They were pure black. Not a single white mark. Their hides didn't shine. They swallowed the sunlight. They moved in silence. No lowing, no bells, and no sound of hooves on the dirt. And their eyes, God help me, their eyes weren't eyes at all. Just wet black pits, empty, like holes punched straight through their skulls. Their horns didn't grow outward either. They curled inward back into the bone. Like their own skulls were trying to crush them. The townsfolk cheered. They saw salvation. But me? I saw a curse walking down Main Street. They were driven out beyond the river to an old pasture nobody used anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. I heard it, not a cow's low. It was deeper, hungrier. A sound that rattled the earth, like grief and hunger and death all tangled in one voice. The next morning, we found the first body, Old Man Grady, who kept goats out near the ridge. What was left of him didn't look like a wolf kill or even a bear. He was torn apart, but the tracks, they looked like hoof prints, only bigger, and they just ended 10 feet from the body. Vanished. Sheriff came in from the next county. Shrugged it off. Said it was coyotes. Folks wanted to believe him. Desperate people believe anything. But I knew better. I went to the pasture. The black herd stood there on dead grass, still as gravestones, not grazing, not drinking, just staring. All their heads turned toward the tree line, the blackwood forest, a stretch of timber even hunters avoided. That night the sound came again, louder, and come morning, another body. Miller's wife, torn up by the river. The same hoof prints, the same nothingness where they ended. By then, fear had taken hold of Hollow Creek. At sundown, every door bolted, windows nailed shut, people praying that the sound wouldn't come for them, and me, I knew hiding wasn't enough anymore. Fear of dying was nothing compared to the guilt I carried. I'd let this town suffer while I hid from myself, so I went to Elias Harper. He looked older than I remembered, older by years, though only days had passed. It's not wolves, I told him. It's your herd. He just stared at me. His eyes, God, I'll never forget the look in them. I know, he whispered. I felt my stomach drop. What did you do? I saved this town, he said, voice hollow. The fields were dust. Winter's coming. I went into Blackwood, to the old altar. I prayed. I begged the forest keeper for help, and he answered. He did. He gave us cattle that would never starve. But his herd, it needed pasture. I thought he meant grass. He laughed sharp, broken. I didn't know. I whispered the only thing I could. What are they? Soul eaters. That's what he called them. Demons in hides. By day, they wear cattle skin. At night, they hunt. Their soul isn't in them. It's one heart. One heart for all of them. It beats on the altar, in the woods. As long as it beats, they'll keep coming. I walked out of his house, and suddenly everything was simple. There was the enemy, there was the heart, and there was me, the only man left who knew how to hunt. I opened my father's old chest, pulled out the double barrel, ran my hands over the stock, loaded it with buckshot. I wasn't hunting deer this time. Or wolves, I was hunting demons. The blackwood was worse than I remembered. The trees pressed in, choking out the sky. It was silent, dead silent. Then I found it. The altar, a black stone, slick as oil, and on it, the heart. It wasn't flesh. It was roots and bone and earth, all knotted into one pulsing, throbbing mass, horns twisted in and out of it. It beat heavy and slow, echoing that sound from the night. I leveled the shotgun at it. That's when they stepped out of the trees. The herd, but not as cattle. They stood 8-9 feet tall. Long, gaunt bodies. Bones stretched tight under skin black as tar. Their skulls wore those inward horns, jagged and broken. Their hands ended in hooves sharp as blades. And their mouths, God help me, opened wide with 100 needle teeth. They circled me, protecting their heart. I fired. The buckshot slammed into one, dropped it, but it stood back up like nothing. Harper's words rang in my skull. Their souls aren't in them. You can't kill them here. I had one chance left. The altar. The heart. I reloaded, aimed, and then I froze. If I destroyed it, the deal would break. The herd would die. But the fields would die with them. Hollow Creek would starve before winter ended. Save them from the teeth, only to kill them with hunger. The creatures drew closer, empty eyes staring, and I remembered my father's words. Every beast, no matter how wild, knows the scent of fear. If you fear it, you're prey. If you don't, you're the hunter. I lowered the shotgun. The demons stopped, confused. I walked to the altar, drew my hunting knife, cut my palm, let my blood drip onto the heart. It drank it in. The beat quickened, louder, stronger. I'm not prey, I told them. My voice didn't shake. I'm the shepherd now. Your flock is outside these woods, not in Hollow Creek. These people are mine. You hunt beyond the town, that's the deal. The herd stood still, the heart slowed, steady, and then one of them bowed its head. I stepped back, never turned my back on them. But they didn't follow. I came back at dawn. No one died that night. Or the night after. The herd stayed in the pasture, silent and still. The moaning stopped. The corn began to grow again. The town lived. But now, Hollow Creek has a new shepherd. Me. And a new curse. Sometimes I step out on the porch at night, and I see them across the fields. Black silhouettes waiting. Watching. They know I'm here. They know who I am. And I know one thing for certain. I'm not afraid anymore. Because I'm not prey. I'm the hunter.